Well, Donald Trump's hush money trial enters its third week of testimony today in New York. More witnesses are set to take the stand as the prosecution continues its case detailing payments Trump made to cover up a sexual relationship with two women. On Friday, Trump's former communications director, Hope Hicks, broke down in tears as she testified. She described the chaos during the 2016 presidential campaign following the revelations of the Access Hollywood video in which Trump talked about groping women. So joining me now in Studio 57 with more analysis on the trial before he heads back to court is CBS News investigative reporter Graham Cates. We have you for a moment because I know you're heading back to the courthouse. So the jury heard from Hope Hicks on Friday. She really got emotional during her testimony. What stood out the most to you?
You know, I think that was the big moment. What had happened was about a minute beforehand, she had acknowledged that in 2018, when this story of Trump paying off through his lawyer, Stormy Daniels, who was an adult film star who had made an allegation of a sexual encounter with Trump, came out. What she said was that Trump at the time acknowledged to her, you know, it's really better this comes out now as opposed to before the election. And that's important because what prosecutors are trying to make the case is that that the reason Trump was buying these stories, or the National Enquirer was buying these stories, was to keep the information from voters, and that these payments were in their way a campaign contribution. And so she didn't say that she recognized that was an important moment, but within a minute, she was visibly in tears and choked up, and they had to take a break. And she was in front of the defendant, whom she had expressed admiration for.
Yeah, and you know it's important to make the difference because he allegedly paid to kill stories before he was even involved in politics. So they could definitely argue, well, it's the same old for Donald Trump. But speaking of that, I'm curious. She's kind of falling apart on the stand. What was Donald Trump doing? How was he reacting to seeing, his former aide? And also, how did Trump's lawyers handle the cross-examination? Because she's clearly, she kept on saying she was nervous and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah, so Trump watched her closely the whole time. He wasn't making any outward big animated gestures or anything, but he was really engaged the whole time. And his attorneys, and they've done this throughout, they tried to kind of pivot the focus of the jury into some other things that Trump could have been concerned about. Now, Stormy Daniels had made this accusation that there was a sexual encounter with Trump while he was married. This was the year that his son was born.
Yeah.
And they said, was there anything else that Trump was concerned about during this? And she said, when the stories first started coming out, both before and after the election, he was concerned about his wife finding out about them, how his family would perceive this. She said that he wanted them to be proud of him, and that at one point he asked for newspapers to not be brought to his wife. So this is kind of their part of the defense, which is they're saying his motivation wasn't politics, it was family.
Very interesting. Graham Cates, can't wait to hear from you again as you head off to court. Thank you so much.
Thank you.